Hello students, welcome to Power Tutorials. So let's start our live session on exercise 1.2 Maths Class 10 CBSE, that is NCSD board real numbers chapter, which is chapter 1 of mathematics. So just give me 2 minutes. Let me just cross check if live audio video everything is fine. Since there is some lag, let me just cross check. Okay, now everything is fine. So let's continue with our video. So I think if you have cross-checked my previous videos, I have completed exercise 1.1 and also covered what is real numbers in detail. I also explained what are natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, rational numbers, and then odd, even, prime, composite numbers we have discussed. And then we also discussed the theorem of fundamental arithmetic, HCF and LCM we have discussed. We have also covered the example questions, and all the example 1.1 questions are been solved. And in the homework questions I also discussed whichever there in the few questions I have discussed in the long videos and numbers which are irrational. So the statement I have told you here, which cannot be written in form of P by Q. So we'll start with the same definition. Irrational are those which cannot be written in P by Q form. So P by Q, here Q is not equal to 0 because anything but 0 is undefined. Okay, so which cannot be written in form of P by Q. For example, if I take pi, this is one of the famous irrational number. E, this is also another irrational number. And if I say root of any x where x belongs to prime numbers or x is a prime number, then root of any prime number is always irrational. Like example, root 3 is irrational, root 2 is irrational, root 17 is irrational, and so on. So anything root of a number which if it is a prime number, then definitely that belongs to irrational number. Okay, so simply irrational numbers are the ones which cannot be written in form of P by Q. For example, I can also say root of 1.6. This is also irrational because root of 1.6 I can write it as root 16 by 10. Okay, or else I can also say it is 16 to 5 are 10 and something root 8 by root 5. Root 5 is irrational because I told you root of any prime number is irrational. Root 5 is irrational. The product or division of anything is also irrational. Okay. Now let's before going to the example questions, I want to discuss one point which is important to prove this irrational chapter, which states that if P divides Q square, where P and Q are natural numbers or integers also you can consider, then P also divides Q. Okay, so simply the proof also is very easy. Just if a Q square I can write it as Q into Q. Okay, so if P is able to divide one of the Q, then definitely P also divides Q. You can also test it by stating example, if I say 5 divides some square number, and if it is multiple of 5 I will take it as 20 square, let's take it as 400. Okay, 5 divides 400, correct? So I just want to check whether 5 also divides 400. Root of is 20. Yes, to 5 4 is 20. So you can see here, if 5 divides 200, then 5 also divides 20. Or simply 5 is a factor of 400, then 5 is also a factor of 20. Okay, so using this, now we're going to solve all the questions of exercise 1.2, and we're going to prove root of any prime numbers generally, or a combination of root of prime numbers is an irrational. So let's prove the first one. Prove root 3 is irrational. So to prove this type of questions, what you have to do it, assume in opposite way. So let us assume root 3 as rational. Okay, if root 3 is rational, I can write this as root 3 is equal to p by q, where q not equal to 0 and p comma q are coprimes. So coprimes I have also explained previous video. Coprimes are the numbers which does not have any common factor between them. Okay, so now what I will say is just cross multiply. I will get p is equal to q root 3. Now squaring on both sides. If I do squaring on both sides, what I will get? I will get p square is equal to q square into 3. Okay, so p square is equal to q square into 3. Then I can see p square is equal to 3q square. Now I can say that p square can be divided by 3. So I'll say p square is divisible by 3. If p square is divisible by 3, I can say that p is also divisible by 3. If p is divisible by 3, I can write p as some 3 into a, where a belongs to natural numbers. Okay, now if I replace 3a here, I will get 3a whole square is equal to 3q square, or 9a square is equal to 3q square. And from here I can say, if I divide by 3, 3 ones 3 3s, then 3a square is equal to q square. From this step I can say q square is divisible by 3. Then I also know that q is divisible by 3. So it is stating that p and comma q are having factor of 3. So if two numbers are having a common factor, it will not become coprimes. But what is our assumption? P comma q are coprimes. Hence we have to say that this is against our assumption. Hence root 3 is not rational. Okay, let's see next one. Prove 5 minus root 3 is irrational. So same method. Let us assume five minus root 3 is rational. If it is rational, how can I write? 5 minus root 3 is equal to p by q, where q not equal to 0, comma p and q are coprimes. Okay, now if I change like this, 5 minus p by q, this becomes root 3. Okay, so p, I am assuming root 3 is irrational, already mentioned in the question. If it is not mentioned, just follow the steps mentioned in the previous slide to solve it. Okay, so there can be cases for 2 marks question. They can simply say that given root 3 is irrational, they will ask you to prove 5 minus root 3 is irrational. We're solving that type of question here. Okay, 5 minus root 3 equal p by q. 5 minus p by q becomes root 3. P comma q are already rational, so p by q is irrational. So 5 minus p by q is irrational. Sorry, rational number. 5 minus p by q is rational, but it is equal to root 3, which is irrational. Hence our assumption is wrong. Okay, so this is a direct question. So simply I can say 5 minus root 3 is irrational. But if they ask for 4 marks question, you have to prove that root 3 is irrational, and then we have to say this. Okay, let's move to the next question. Prove 3 root 2 is irrational. Okay, again same steps. Let us assume 3 root 2 as rational. So 3 root 2, I can write it as p by q. Then I can say root 2 is equal to p by 3q. This point is also important. Q not equal to 0. P and Q are coprimes. Okay, so here it is saying root 2 is equal to p by 3q. P comma q are integers, so p by 3q is a rational, but root 2 is irrational. So I'm stopping here because you can write yourself that as assumption is wrong, root 2 is irrational. Okay, let's move to the next questions. So in exercise 1.2, total you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions. So we'll solve one by one fastly. First one is root 5 is irrational. We have to prove root 5 is irrational. Okay, so same method. Root 5 question. Let us assume. So in the previous slides, I can see that my handwriting is little not that much neat. So we'll make sure to make my handwriting more neatly from now on. Okay. So because I'm doing a touchpad, there is some difference, but still it's part from my end. So I'll definitely improve myself and try to make it look more beautiful. Okay. So let us assume root 5 as rational. So if any number is rational, how I can write? I can write in terms of p by q. So p becomes q into root 5. Now I have to do squaring on both sides. If I apply squaring on both sides, what it will become? It becomes p square is equal to q square into 5. The next step, I can write p square is equal to 5 q square. So it is stating that p square can be divided by 5, and we already know the theorem. Then p can be divisible, can be divided by 5. So I can replace p as some 5a, where a belongs to natural numbers. So now 5a whole square is equal to 5q square. I can say it is 25a square is equal to 5q square, or I can finally write 5a square is equal to q square. Okay. So if you have any doubts while you are watching this video, you can mention in the chart section. I will definitely see the chart and respond to you accordingly. So I'll just mention the same. So let's continue again. So first step, the question will vary 5 square q square. Okay, so now I can say q square is divisible by 5. So q is also divisible by 5. So q, okay, now here itself we can stop. So p comma q are having common factor as 5, which is against our assumption, because I had told you that our first assumption p comma q, okay, here I haven't written, q not equal to 0 comma p and q are coprimes. This step is important. Okay, coprimes does not have any common factor, but we are having common factor, so our assumption is wrong. Our assumption is wrong, and hence the final answer, which is root 5, is irrational. Okay, so let's move to the next question. 3 plus 2 root 5 is irrational. Okay, 3 plus 2 root 5 is irrational. So same method, starting, assume 3 plus 2 root 5 as rational. So this becomes 3 plus 2 root 5. I can write it as p by q, where q not equal to 0 comma p and q are coprimes. Okay, so now simple, I have to make sure to move root 5 is one side and other to the other side. So simply I can write 2 root 5 is equal to p by q minus 3. So 2 root 5, it becomes p minus 3q by q. Root 5 becomes p minus 3q by 2q. So as p comma q integers, so p minus 3q by 2q is rational, but root 5 is irrational. We already proved it in the previous first question. So our assumption is wrong. Our assumption is wrong, which is, what is the question? 3 plus 2 root 5 is irrational. Okay. So let's see the next one. 1 by root 2, 7 root 5. Okay, let's go one by one. 1 by root 2. So same, first steps are common. 1 by root 2 as rational. So 1 by root 2 is equal to p by q. If I just cross multiply, I will get root 2 as q by p. Here I will write q not equal to 0 and p and q belongs to n and coprimes. Okay, this is easy. Now p by q or q by p becomes rational. This is irrational. So assumption is wrong. Q by p is rational and root 2 is irrational. Therefore 1 by root 2 is irrational. Okay, let's see the next one. 7 root 5 6 plus root 2. 7 root 5 6 plus root 2. Okay, let's solve 7 root 5 first. Again the same steps. Assume 7 root 5 as rational. So 7 root 5 is equal to p by q. Root 5 is equal to p by 7q. Again the same steps from here on. P by 7q is rational, but root 5 is irrational. So our assumption is wrong. It states that 7 root 5 is irrational. Okay, let's see the last question for our exercise, which is 6 plus root 2. So again the same steps. Assume 6 plus root 2 is rational. So 6 plus root 2 I can write in form of p by q. And this is very important. I'm stating again and again, because if you didn't write this step in the exam, definitely you'll lose a half to 1 mark. Okay, p comma q are coprimes. This step is very important. Okay, now the next step, it is root 2 is equal to p minus p by q minus 6. I'll let one more step. Root 2 is equal to p minus 6q by q. Now the last two steps, p minus 6q by q is rational, whereas root 2 is irrational. Hence our assumption is wrong. So 6 plus root 2 is irrational. Okay, so in this way all the questions are done. So I'm giving a bonus question now. So this type of question occurred in previous year questions. So the bonus question is, if it is a number and root number, we can easily solve it. But how about if the question, so this is a bonus question, it is not there in the NCERT textbook, but this I am taking a reference from previous year questions. Okay, what is the bonus question is, prove root 2 plus root 3 is irrational. If it is a single number, then you can easily solve it. But if it is root of two numbers, Okay, because there is no proof that sum of two irrational numbers is an irrational. We have to solve those type of questions. So now we have to solve. Same method, starting is same. Let us assume root 2 plus root 3 is rational. So if you assume this way, how it will become? It becomes root 2 plus root 3 p by q, where q not equal to 0 and p and q are coprimes. Okay, now what I will do is I will move one irrational number to the right side. So as 2 is small, I will move 2 to the right side. Now it becomes root 3 is equal to p by q minus root 2. Okay, now this becomes root 3 is equal to p minus root 2 into q by q. Okay, now if I move 3 to q to the left side, it becomes root 3 into q is equal to p minus root 2q. Now I will apply squaring on both sides. If I apply squaring on both sides, this becomes 3q square is equal to, what is a minus b whole square? A square minus 2ab plus b square. Okay, a square is p square. 2ab means 2 into p into root 2q plus b square, which is root 2 whole square is 2q square. Now I have only one irrational number. Rest all I have can integers. So simply root 2 root 2q, I'll keep it as left side. What it will become? P square plus 2q square minus 3q square. Okay, the next step, 2 root 2q is equal to p square minus q square. Okay, now I can simply write, remove only root 2. This becomes p square minus q square by 2q. So this is the final step. Now we can say root 2 is irrational. P square minus q square by 2q is rational. So our assumption is wrong. Is rational, but root 2 is irrational. Therefore, our assumption is wrong. Therefore, I can say root 2 plus root 3 is irrational. So this I am repeating again. This is very important because this type of question is already occurred in previous year questions, and this question is not there in the NCERT textbook. They have not mentioned like root 2 plus root 3 or root 2 minus root 3, like combination of two root prime numbers. They haven't mentioned. How to solve it also similar. Only point is you have to make squaring on both sides and make sure to get only one irrational number to the left side. Then we can easily relate, and then we can say that assumption is wrong and that definitely the number is the irrational number. Okay, so in this way all the questions of real numbers, exercise 1.1 example questions and exercise 1.2 are been done. And in the previous video I will try to, if possible, I will try to make another video where I will discuss previous year questions of real numbers chapter. Because NCERT, yes, it is a base, but it's not like if you solve all the questions of NCERT, you can solve every question in the previous year exam. Okay, so you have to be little, basics should be strong, and using that basis you should be able to solve those questions. So that's why for practice what I will do is I will keep another session on real numbers, but I will discuss only previous year questions, that is 2024, 25 or 23 years papers. I will check what are the questions of real numbers, and at least I'll try to get 10 to 15 previous year questions, and we'll discuss their questions here in the next video. Okay, so make sure to subscribe my channel and enable notifications so that you will get notification for the next video, because this video is very important where I am going to discuss the previous year questions from this chapter of real numbers. Okay, so let's meet with another video. Thanks for watching. And parallelly I also started science first chapter, which is chemical reactions and equations. Sorry. So if you are interested to watching those videos, kindly check in the description if possible. I'll try to keep the description, or else you can also check the science videos in my video section of my channel. Okay, so make sure to check it, and if you have any doubts regarding this video, kindly mention in the comment section so that I can check and respond to you accordingly. Thank you.